Hello everyone, this is AndresRestart, and today we are talking about how you should play Xenoblade Chronicles 2 now. So, the Nintendo Switch 2 edition for Xenoblade Chronicles 2 just came out a couple days ago. I finally got a chance to sit down and play through a little bit of it, record some footage. I'll have that kind of just playing in the background while I talk about this game. But I just want to kind of explain how I think this is actually one of the best games that have come out from Nintendo in many years. When it came out in 2017, it was one of my 3 favorite games that came out in 2017. The other 2 games were Super Mario Odyssey and The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and I'm not necessarily putting Xenoblade Chronicles 2 below those games. I think all 3 are kind of in that conversation in terms of my favorite games from 2017, arguably the best year we've ever seen from Nintendo. It's definitely in that conversation. Now, I will recognize that Xenoblade Chronicles 2 critically is perhaps not received as well as Super Mario Odyssey or Breath of the Wild. However, that game did come out in what I would say was a little bit of a rushed form. However, there were updates that came out soon afterwards, and then you had the Tour of the Golden Country DLC and its expansions and little updates over the years. And now with the Switch 2 edition, we've seen even more substantial enhancements, and I think these enhancements really round out the game. And there's just a lot here to enjoy. I think it's a special experience, and so that's what I want to dive further into today. But before going forward, let me point out, I have this goal to reach 60,000 subscribers. We are getting so close. I'm hoping to hit the goal soon. So if you find yourself enjoying my videos and you haven't subscribed already, I would very much appreciate your subscription. So if you haven't heard about the updates that come in the Switch 2 edition for Xenoblade Chronicles 2, I'll just read them off right here. As it says on Nintendo's website, experience a journey across Titans in 4K resolution in TV mode and Full HD in handheld mode at 60 frames per second. And this bullet right here is probably the most exciting bullet to me. The fact that the game is running in 4K in TV mode, Full HD in handheld mode, which would be 1080p, and then across the board at 60 frames per second, that is a substantial improvement. Initially, this game was running at 720p on Switch 1, and then in handheld mode at a far lower resolution, and when you would play it in handheld mode, it looked really bad. Like, there was something about handheld mode initially that just didn't look good, and they had some updates to fix some things, but Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was and is pushing a lot of really cool techniques and effects, and especially for Switch 1 back in 2017, it was pretty ambitious from that perspective. They were trying to do a lot of really cool things, but in order to do that, in order to pull that off and have it run at least a little well at 30 frames per second, was only really possible by scaling down the resolution the way they did. And so with this Switch 2 edition, they're bumping that all the way up to a 4K resolution and 60 frames per second. So now things are running extremely smooth, and it's super sharp, and that alone makes for a huge difference, because that was really Xenoblade's biggest limiting factor, the resolution. And so they've remedied that big problem, and now the game holds up extremely well. But I'll come back to that in a moment. Let me read off the other bullets in terms of the Switch 2 improvements here. Discover a new rare blade, Momo, with 2 forms to swap between and a quest for you to take on. Directly control the blades you send on mercenary missions in the Merc Assault Action Battle mode. And so what's interesting about this is that there's a few more quests that have been added. There were already some extra quests added after the initial release for Xenoblade Chronicles 2, so there's actually a little bit of new content to play here. And then also a cool little thing, unlock new outfit designs for Pyra and Mithra that appear both while adventuring and in cutscenes. So I love these new costume designs. They look really cool. I'm looking forward to unlocking them. They look amazing. I'm actually kind of hoping that maybe they could have an update in Smash Brothers where these costumes would be available. Pyra and Mithra are my favorite characters in Smash Brothers because they are awesome. They play so well. And also because I'm a huge fan of Xenoblade Chronicles 2. It's literally one of my favorite games on Switch 1. But yes, playing through this now, experiencing this game at a glorious 4K resolution at 60 frames per second, it just feels incredible. It does feel like I'm playing like a game that has come out recently for Nintendo Switch 2. Now, I'm not going to pretend like this is literally a modern Switch 2 game, because it's not. You can tell this game's age in certain places, like because of the higher resolution, you're going to notice some artifacts, some issues. Like there are just some textures that aren't that detailed, that don't hold up well. There are plenty of others that hold up extremely well, but not everything. Like, for example, you might see some things that are like metal based or gold based, and they look pretty simple. Or the clouds. The clouds in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 were perhaps one of the greatest achievements from a graphical perspective. Like the way they look so realistic, the way they move around. It's not really something you see in many games, and it looks amazing. However, at 4K, you can kind of see a little bit of lower detail there, and so they don't hold up as well now because of the higher resolution. And I think that's something interesting to consider here. Like, we notice this kind of issue whenever we see older games at a higher resolution, because those games were not designed for higher resolutions, and so there are certain things that you may look at that you start to notice more blemishes because they're being displayed at a resolution where they weren't actually ever designed to be displayed in. And so there are some little minor issues here and there for that kind of stuff. It's not to say the clouds don't look good. They still look good, but you still can notice those things. You can notice some texture simplicities here and there, but overall, what I see is a very beautiful world, far better realized and at a very crisp resolution, and it feels so smooth at 60 frames per second. This game definitely is looking and running better overall by a substantial degree, and so it feels really, really good to play. And really, that's my biggest point here. I could talk about the other little things, but the game just looks so much better now, and that was probably one of my biggest issues with the game personally in the day. Not that it wasn't incredible back then, but now you can fully appreciate the amazing art style, the vast worlds. It's just so incredible. But I will speak on a little bit of the other stuff. Xenoblade Chronicles 2, the base campaign is already huge. Like, you could easily pour 100 hours into this, but then they've added some extra stuff. They've added the Merc Assault mode. There are some extra little bits of missions and stuff you can do that have been added over the years. And then, of course, there's the expansion, Torn of the Golden Country, which is sold separately. By the way, I will note that for those who haven't purchased it before, that's another campaign to play, but it's such a substantial campaign. It's like its own game, so I definitely think it's absolutely worth it. Point is, there is a lot of content to enjoy here. Like, if you pick up Xenoblade Chronicles 2, you're gonna have easily 100, maybe even 200 hours of gameplay to appreciate here. It's a massive, incredible experience. Now, it's not to say that you can't get to the end in less time, and I understand some people may not want to put in 100 or 200 hours. You can probably beat the campaign in maybe 60 to 70 hours if you're kind of just focusing on just the story and not much else, which is still pretty substantial if you're just trying to speed through things, or very substantial, I would say. It's a big game. It's an incredible game with a really, really fun story, which is just kind of bringing me to the main point here, and that's just trying to get people to play Xenoblade Chronicles 2, because it's a really, really, really good game. I think it's one of those games, though, that perhaps it's a little bit harder to get into, especially because it's actually a fairly complex game from a mechanics perspective, and there's a lot of tutorial stuff, and that can be overwhelming, and I would even say that some of the tutorial stuff does not fully explain everything. So there is a little bit of that hurdle from an accessibility perspective, but if you can get through that, if you look at guides, I've even made videos about it in the past, and you figure out how the game works fully, there's something here that I think is perhaps more remarkable than the other Xenoblade games. Like, once you figure out the combat system, once you get deeper into the game and you unlock all your different abilities and options, and you're really into the flow of it, it's like art in motion. It's magic. It feels so good. It's definitely better than Xenoblade 1's combat system, and personally, I like it more than Xenoblade Chronicles 3's, even though Chronicle 3 has some pretty cool stuff to it too. Stacking all the blade combos together and really fitting that in, there's something really fun about that. When you have all the orbs swirling around, you can finally do a full burst. It's a magical, awesome, exciting moment. And so I really do love the combat in this game, but I'm just pointing out, yeah, it is hard to master. It is hard to figure out if you don't look for some little bit of outside help, and that is another issue about the game, I will admit. But when you get past that and you just explore the beautiful worlds, appreciate the incredible music, and enjoy the amazing story, like, it's a really fantastic experience. It's something that I don't think a lot of people realize is actually coming from Nintendo. Like, a lot of people look at Nintendo and they think there aren't like these incredible narratives, which is unfortunate, but I think it kind of speaks to the fact that the Xenoblade series is niche. It only sells like 1 to 2 million copies, which is not a small number, but I do hope the Xenoblade series grows, hence why I'm making videos like this. I'm just kind of trying to spread the word here about how good these games are. Like, it is like Nintendo's Final Fantasy. Monolith Soft used to be part of Squaresoft. Squaresoft divided. You have Square Enix, you have Monolith Soft, and so once upon a time, a lot of the people who were making the Xenoblade games used to work on Final Fantasy way back when. Like, that's the kind of team you have here that's grown over the years and has worked with Nintendo on so many other things like Splatoon, Animal Crossing, and The Legend of Zelda, and they make exceptional Xenoblade games. There's no such thing as a bad Xenoblade game. Every Xenoblade game is a really fun, awesome campaign, and Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is definitely one of them. But for me, Xenoblade 2 just hits a little bit more than the others. And I think that ultimately comes down to just how much of an enjoyable ride it is with the characters and the story. And the world is fantastical. Like, listen, all the worlds in Xenoblade are fantastical. But this one, I think, just the story of Rex and Pyra and friends, like, coming together and, like, the affections there, it definitely hits some emotional beats for me that resonate. And then the music is just incredible. Like, I've talked about this before, and I know some people freak out about it, but Xenoblade music is right up there with The Legend of Zelda. Like, if we're talking about the best music that comes from Nintendo, it's either for Zelda or for Xenoblade. And there's just so much here that's incredible to enjoy. And it's even better when you're just running around these vast, beautiful worlds, seeing these giant titans moving in the distance and listening to the different scores. It's an emotional, spiritual experience for me. Like, I really, really love playing through Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and the other Xenoblade games. It's very special. So basically, I'm just saying, give this one a try. It's really cool if you haven't tried it before. This is perhaps the best time to get into it because Xenoblade 2 is at its very best now with the Switch 2 edition. So yes, give it a try. It's exciting. I love this game, and I'm looking forward to replaying this for like the 4th time. And I will continue to replay this game every couple of years because it's just that special to me. But what do you all think? Let me know in the comments below. This is AndresRestart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I will see you all really soon. Take care. Bye.